My wife's free soul tattoo exposed a $50,000 cheating spree, so I executed Operation Freedom and walked away with cash, dignity, and self-respect. The front door slammed shut at 2 o'clock in the morning, jarring me awake from an already restless sleep. After 10 years of marriage, I could distinguish my wife's normal return from something different. This was different: the irregular clicking of heels, the exaggerated effort to place keys quietly on the counter. Telltale signs of someone who didn't want to be noticed. I remained in bed, eyes fixed on the ceiling, listening to her fumbling in the bathroom. When she finally slipped under the covers, the scent of alcohol and unfamiliar cologne invaded our bedroom. I turned away, deciding tomorrow would be the time for questions. Morning arrived with painful clarity. Sunlight streamed through the blinds as I made coffee, wondering how to approach what was becoming a pattern. 3 nights this week, she had returned well after midnight, each time with vague explanations about drinks with colleagues or catching up with friends. As a successful financial advisor, I recognized patterns, and this one wasn't adding up. She emerged from the bedroom wearing a sleeveless top. That was when I saw it, stark black letters etched across the side of her neck. Free soul. The tattoo was fresh, still red around the edges. What the hell is that? The words left my mouth before I could moderate my tone. She touched the tattoo gently, a smile playing on her lips. Do you like it? I got it yesterday. Without mentioning it to me. That's permanent. Her expression hardened. I don't need permission. This is about who I am now, a free soul. I placed my coffee mug down, trying to process what was happening.
And who exactly were you before?
Someone who lived by your rules, your schedule, your expectations. She poured herself coffee, leaning against the counter. I'm approaching 40. I need to rediscover myself before it's too late. The conversation spiraled from there. According to her, our stable, comfortable life had become a prison. My dedication to building our future, the investments, the house in the suburbs, our planned retirement strategy, was suddenly evidence of my controlling nature. Later that week, a joint account notification pinged on my phone. $1,200 withdrawn. When questioned, she casually mentioned shopping for a new wardrobe to match her new outlook. That weekend she disappeared for an entire day, returning with shopping bags from stores we couldn't afford and another withdrawal notification for $800. 2 weeks after the tattoo appeared, I noticed our credit card was approaching its limit. Dinners at upscale restaurants, bar tabs, clothing, all without discussion. When confronted, she dismissed my concerns with a wave of her hand. Money comes and goes. We've been too obsessed with saving for a future that might never happen. I'm living in the now. That night, she announced she was going on a girls' weekend the following month. Something in her inability to meet my eyes triggered my suspicion. While she showered, I did something I had never done before. I checked her phone. The text messages confirmed what my gut had been telling me. These nights out weren't with colleagues or friends, at least not female ones. Messages from someone saved simply as J detailed plans, rendezvous at hotels, and explicit exchanges that turned my stomach. The girls' weekend was actually planned with him at a resort 3 hours away. The reservation confirmation showed a suite booked for 2, charged to our joint credit card. As I heard the shower turn off, I placed her phone exactly where it had been. My heart hammered against my chest, but my mind had never been clearer. If she wanted to be a free soul so badly, perhaps it was time to give her exactly what she wanted: complete freedom from our marriage, our home, and our finances. Standing at the bathroom door as steam billowed out, I decided to play the long game. She wouldn't see it coming, just as I hadn't seen her betrayal coming. Sometimes freedom comes at a price, and I was about to ensure she understood exactly how expensive her tattoo would ultimately be. Over the next few weeks, I became a silent observer of my own marriage's collapse. The woman who once shared Sunday mornings solving crossword puzzles with me now barely acknowledged my presence. She had transformed not just her neck, but her entire persona. Tight dresses replaced comfortable jeans. Plunging necklines appeared where modest tops once lived. Each new outfit seemed designed to showcase that damn tattoo. Our closet filled with shopping bags, still bearing price tags, while notifications of withdrawals from our joint account arrived with alarming frequency. The more I watched, the more patterns emerged. Her phone now remained permanently face down, passwords changed weekly. Conversations ended abruptly when I entered the room. Even her friends seemed to have changed. Names I had never heard before entered her vocabulary, as if they had been lifelong companions. "Who's this Jay you keep mentioning?" I asked one evening as she texted frantically at the dinner table. Her fingers froze mid-message. Just someone from work. The marketing team brought him in as a consultant. Interesting. You've never mentioned your company hiring consultants before. She shrugged, returning to her phone. We're expanding. Lots of new faces. That night, after she had gone to bed, I logged into our cell phone account. The call logs told their own story, dozens of calls to the same number, always during her lunch break or on her commute home, a number I had never seen before. The text message count to this same number ran into the thousands. When I checked our credit card statement, a disturbing pattern emerged. Charges at hotels across town, always on weekday afternoons. Restaurants I had never been to with her. Even a weekend charge at a bed and breakfast 2 hours away during a work conference she had attended last month. The next morning I decided to confront her. We need to talk about our marriage, I said over breakfast. She glanced up from her phone with barely concealed irritation. What about it? You're having an affair. She didn't flinch, didn't deny it. Instead, she leaned back in her chair, studying me with cold calculation. You're being paranoid. This is exactly why I needed to make changes. You're suffocating me with your control issues. Control issues? I've given you complete freedom with our finances, our schedule, and this is how you repay that trust. She touched her tattoo, a gesture that had become habitual. You've never understood what freedom really means. I'm a free soul now. That doesn't fit into your neat little boxes and spreadsheets. Freedom doesn't mean betrayal. She stood up, gathering her purse. I don't have time for this conversation. I'm meeting friends for brunch on a Tuesday. Don't you have work? I took the day off. Not that I need to explain myself to you. She headed for the door, then paused. Don't wait up. We're going dancing after. That evening, I received a text from a number I didn't recognize. Check the Marriott parking garage, level 3. Red BMW, no signature needed. I knew exactly who had sent it. I sat in my car for an hour debating whether to go. Eventually, curiosity and a need for confirmation outweighed my pride. The drive to the hotel took 20 minutes. Sure enough, on level 3 of the parking garage, I found her car parked next to a black Mercedes I didn't recognize. Instead of confronting them, I took photos documenting the cars, the license plates, the hotel entrance. Then I drove to a nearby bar and ordered a whiskey. While nursing my drink, I Googled the best divorce attorneys in the area. When she returned home that night, perfume couldn't mask the evidence of her afternoon activities. I pretended to be asleep, my mind running calculations, not of our retirement fund, but of how to disentangle our lives with minimal damage to my own future. Are you awake? She whispered, slipping into bed beside me. I remained silent, breathing steadily through my nose, already planning my next move. Her free soul tattoo had just become the most expensive ink she would ever purchase. The following weekend, she dropped a bomb during breakfast. I'm hosting a party here tomorrow night. I looked up from my newspaper. A party? Since when do we host parties on Sunday nights? She stirred her coffee, not meeting my eyes. Not we, I'm hosting, just some friends from my new social circle. She took a sip. You should probably make yourself scarce. You won't enjoy it. The audacity left me momentarily speechless. You're asking me to leave my own house so you can throw a party with people I've never met? She rolled her eyes. This is exactly why I need space. Everything's a negotiation with you. It's exhausting. I calmly folded my newspaper. Fine, have your party. I'll be upstairs in my office. Her surprise at my easy agreement was visible. She had clearly expected a fight, which told me all I needed to know about her intentions for this gathering. Sunday evening arrived with a parade of strangers filing through our front door. Music vibrated through the floorboards as I sat in my office reviewing our financial statements. By midnight, the noise had reached intolerable levels. I ventured downstairs to find our living room transformed into something resembling a nightclub. Our furniture had been pushed against the walls. Bottles of expensive liquor, purchased with our joint funds, no doubt, littered every surface. In the center of it all stood my wife, dancing intimately with a tall man I immediately recognized as the owner of the black Mercedes. I observed unnoticed from the stairwell until someone spilled red wine on our white carpet, the one we had saved for months to purchase. That was my breaking point. I cut the music and turned on the lights. Party's over. Everyone out. The room fell silent. My wife pushed through the crowd, face flushed with alcohol and anger. What the hell do you think you're doing? Protecting what's left of our home. Everyone needs to leave, now. Her friends shuffled awkwardly toward the exit. Only the Mercedes man remained, standing possessively behind her. "You should introduce us," I said, maintaining perfect composure. "Since you've been spending so much time together." She crossed her arms. "This is ridiculous. You're embarrassing me." "I'm embarrassing you? That's rich." Mercedes man finally spoke. "Look, man, this is between you two. I'll head out." "Smart decision," I replied, never breaking eye contact with my wife. After he left, she exploded. "How dare you? I told you to make yourself scarce. And I told you this is my house too. A house I pay for, by the way." I gestured to the destruction around us. "Look at this place. The carpet alone will cost hundreds to clean. It's just stuff. God, you're so materialistic." I laughed without humor. Materialistic? That's an interesting accusation from someone who spent nearly $5,000 on clothes in the past month. Her eyes widened. "You're tracking my spending now?" "I'm tracking our spending. There's a difference. Or have you forgotten that we share finances?" She stormed toward the stairs, turning back only to spit. "This is why I need to be free from you. You count every penny, every minute I'm away. It's pathological. What's pathological is treating your spouse like an ATM while sleeping with someone else." She froze. "You don't know what you're talking about. Room 512 at the Marriott, 3 times last week. The bed and breakfast in Vermont last month." Should I continue? The color drained from her face. "You've been following me." I didn't have to. The credit card statements tell quite a story. She recovered quickly, her shock replaced by defiance. "Fine. Yes, I've been seeing someone. I was going to tell you eventually." "How considerate. Our marriage has been dead for years. You're just too obsessed with your precious financial plans to notice." I approached slowly, keeping my voice level. "I've noticed everything. The lies, the money disappearing, the late nights. And you know what? I've made some plans of my own." Something in my tone must have registered. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across her face. "What does that mean?" I smiled. "It means the free soul is about to learn about the free market. Nothing comes without cost. Not that tattoo, not those hotel rooms, and certainly not betraying someone who trusted you with everything." That night I slept in the guest room. The sound of her frantically making phone calls drifted through the walls. The next morning, before leaving for work, I checked our joint account, another $1,200 withdrawn. But this time, instead of anger, I felt certainty. The account notifications had revealed a recurring pattern of withdrawals every Monday morning. Combined with snippets of conversation I had overheard, I was certain she and her lover were planning a getaway the following weekend, the girls' trip she had mentioned weeks ago. Perfect timing for what I had in mind. I called my lawyer from the car. "It's time to execute the plan. She'll be gone this weekend. We'll have 48 hours. The week leading up to her girls' trip became my strategic planning phase. While she packed bikinis and summer dresses, I scheduled appointments with lawyers, banks, and real estate agents. Every night after she fell asleep, I worked methodically in my home office, preparing for what would become known in my mind as Operation Freedom. First meeting, a top divorce attorney downtown. I brought financial records, text message screenshots, and hotel receipts. The attorney, a stern woman with 20 years of experience, reviewed everything with clinical precision. "Infidelity is clearly established," she said, organizing documents into folders. "The financial irresponsibility is well documented. What exactly are you hoping to achieve?" "Protection. I want what's fair, to keep what I earned and built while she was destroying our marriage." She nodded approvingly. "Given these circumstances, we can file for divorce citing adultery and financial misconduct. You'll want to secure your assets immediately. Is there anything else I should know?" I explained about the upcoming trip. "She leaves Friday, returns Sunday night. Perfect timing. I'll have the paperwork ready Thursday." She leaned forward. "But understand, once you start this, there's no turning back. Are you prepared for that?" I had never been more certain of anything. Absolutely. Next stop, the bank. I sat with a financial advisor who helped me create a new individual account at a different institution. Together, we calculated exactly what portion of our savings had been contributed by me, tracked monthly deposits from my salary, and documented my wife's excessive withdrawals. "I'll transfer my portion Friday morning," I explained. "Not a penny more. The joint account will remain open with her half untouched." The advisor seemed concerned. "This is unusual. Most people in divorces empty accounts entirely. I'm not most people. I want this done legally and fairly." My third meeting was with a real estate agent to secure a furnished apartment with a 6-month lease. I chose a modern building across town, paid the security deposit from my personal savings, and arranged for movers to transport my essential belongings Saturday morning. Throughout this process, my wife remained oblivious, too absorbed in her affair and upcoming trip to notice the subtle changes. If she wondered why I had suddenly stopped confronting her about late nights or financial withdrawals, she didn't question it. My apparent surrender must have seemed like victory to her. Thursday night, I finalized my checklist while she packed upstairs. 1. Divorce papers filed with the court, ready for service upon her return. 2. New apartment lease signed and keys obtained. 3. Movers scheduled for Saturday. 4. Locksmith booked for Saturday afternoon. 5. Letters prepared for delivery to her. 1 explaining my actions, 1 from my attorney. 6. Half of our joint savings calculated to the penny, ready for transfer. 7. Credit card companies notified about removing me from joint accounts. 8. Mail forwarding set up to my new address. That night, she came to bed late, reeking of alcohol. I pretended to sleep as she tossed her phone on the nightstand. Once her breathing steadied into sleep, I carefully checked her messages. The final confirmation of their weekend plans was there, along with hotel reservations at a beachfront resort paid for with our joint credit card. Friday morning arrived with a cheerful breakfast tableau. I made her favorite omelet, poured fresh orange juice, and acted completely normal. She seemed almost disappointed by my pleasant demeanor, perhaps expecting the sullen resentment I had shown previously. "You seem happy," she remarked suspiciously. I smiled, just looking forward to a quiet weekend. Sometimes space is good for both people. She studied me, perhaps wondering if I had discovered her true plans, then quickly dismissed the thought. "Well, the girls and I will probably drink too much and gossip. Nothing exciting." "Have fun," I said, helping her load her suitcase into her car. "Drive safely." As she pulled away, I stood in the driveway, waving. The moment her car turned the corner, I pulled out my phone and made the first call. "She's gone. Let's begin." My attorney's voice was steady. "Remember, everything by the book. No emotion-driven decisions. Understood? It's not about revenge, it's about justice." After hanging up, I walked back into our house, soon to be just hers, and surveyed the space we had shared for years. Memories filled every corner, but they no longer held power over me. The moment she decided our vows meant nothing, this house had become just another asset to divide. I opened my laptop and initiated the first bank transfer. As the confirmation appeared on screen, something shifted inside me, not grief or anger, but liberation. She wanted to be a free soul. Well, I was about to be much freer than she had ever imagined. The weekend unfolded with military precision. Within an hour of her departure, I executed the first phase financial separation. I transferred exactly 50% of our joint savings into my new account, calculated down to the last dollar, accounting for her recent withdrawals. I left her portion untouched, even though legally I could have claimed more given her misuse of our funds. By noon, I had contacted all credit card companies, removing myself as an authorized user on joint cards and closing accounts where I was the primary holder. I sent emails to our utility companies, insurance providers, and subscription services, changing contact information and payment methods for my portion of our shared expenses. The satisfaction I felt wasn't from hurting her, but from reclaiming control over my life. Each signature, each confirmation email, represented another link in the chain of our marriage being methodically severed. Saturday morning, the movers arrived at 8 o'clock sharp. I had already packed my essentials, clothes, personal items, family heirlooms that had been mine before marriage. I took only what was undisputedly mine, carefully avoiding anything purchased jointly or gifted to her. In the home office, I collected important documents, backing up shared financial records onto a secure drive for my attorney. As the movers loaded the last box, I walked through each room, taking photos to document the condition of the house and remaining possessions. These would protect me from potential claims of property damage or theft later. The house felt foreign now, as if the walls themselves had witnessed the betrayal and were complicit in her deception. The locksmith arrived promptly at noon. While he changed the locks, I wrote a detailed letter explaining where she could find her new keys with her mother, whom I had already contacted to ensure she would be available. The letter also included information about the divorce filing and contact details from my attorney. My tone remained businesslike and matter-of-fact, devoid of accusations or emotional appeals. By 3 o'clock, I stood in my new apartment, as movers arranged furniture. The space was smaller but modern, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, a fresh start. I had chosen it specifically for its security features, gated entrance, doorman, security cameras, anticipating potential confrontations when she discovered what had happened. That evening, I met with my attorney to review final preparations. The divorce papers had been filed Friday morning, with copies prepared for service upon her return. We discussed potential reactions and legal responses to any countermove she might attempt. She'll likely claim abandonment, my attorney warned. The documentation proves otherwise, I replied. She abandoned our marriage long before I left the house. Sunday morning, I arranged for the letters to be delivered to our house at precisely 6 o'clock, an hour before her expected return. The timeline was calculated to give her time to process the information before attempting to contact me, reducing the chance of an emotional ambush. Throughout the day, I methodically tied up loose ends, updated my address with the post office, my employer, and various subscriptions, called my parents to explain the situation briefly, then a few close friends who deserved to hear the news from me rather than through gossip. Their support was unanimous, many admitting they had suspected something was wrong but hadn't wanted to interfere. At 5 o'clock, I received confirmation that the letters had been delivered. At 5:30, I turned my phone to silent and placed it in a drawer. Whatever rage erupted when she returned home would not disturb my first peaceful evening in months. I poured myself a glass of whiskey and stood at the window, watching the city transition from day to night. My reflection in the glass showed someone I had barely recognized in recent months, a man who had finally chosen self-respect over hollow comfort, decisive action over passive acceptance. At precisely 7:12, my phone began vibrating incessantly in the drawer. I could picture her arriving home, finding the letter, trying the key that no longer worked, calling her mother to collect the new one, and finally comprehending the full extent of what had transpired in her absence. The calls continued for hours, punctuated by text messages that grew increasingly desperate and angry. I read none of them that night, focusing instead on preparing for the week ahead, my first as a single man in over a decade. Before going to bed, I sent a single text to my attorney. Phase 1 complete. Proceed as planned. Then I turned off my phone completely and slept soundly for the first time in months. Monday morning dawned clear and bright. I woke early, went for a run around my new neighborhood, and prepared for work with a strange lightness in my movements. As I left the apartment, I finally turned my phone back on, bracing for the onslaught. 57 missed calls, 34 voicemails, over 100 text messages. I ignored them all and dialed my attorney. She's been served, came the confirmation. We're fully in motion now. Good, I replied, stepping into the morning sunshine. Let's finish what she started. The storm broke Tuesday morning. I was in a meeting when security called to inform me she was in the lobby demanding to see me. I calmly excused myself and met her in a conference room, maintaining professional composure despite her obvious distress. Her appearance shocked me. The confident woman with the provocative tattoo had been replaced by someone wild-eyed and disheveled. She had clearly come straight from the resort, still wearing summer clothes despite the cool weather, her hair tangled from what I assumed was a rushed drive back. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" she hissed the moment I closed the door. I sat across from her, keeping the conference table between us. Exactly what my letter explained. We're getting divorced. You changed the locks. You took your things. You can't just... I can, and I did. The house is still yours to use. Your belongings are untouched. Your portion of our savings remains in the joint account. She slammed her hand on the table. This is insane. You can't blindside me like this. Blindside you? I allowed myself a small, incredulous laugh. The way you blindsided me with your affair? Or was I supposed to wait until you had spent every penny we had on hotel rooms with your boyfriend? Her face flushed. That's what this is about. You're punishing me for one mistake. One mistake repeated dozens of times, documented on credit card statements, hotel receipts, and text messages, all of which my attorney has copies of. The mention of evidence stopped her momentarily. You went through my phone? That's invasion of privacy. Privacy ended when fidelity did. But that's for the courts to decide now. She switched tactics, her voice softening. Look, we can work this out. Couples therapy, a fresh start. We have history together. History you were willing to throw away for a tattoo and an affair. The free soul wanted freedom. I simply granted your wish. Her eyes narrowed at my reference to the tattoo. This isn't about the tattoo. No, it's about what the tattoo represents. Your unilateral decision to change the terms of our marriage without discussion. The moment you decided you were a free soul, our partnership ended. The conversation deteriorated from there. Threats gave way to tears, then back to anger. I remained calm throughout, refusing to engage with emotional manipulation. The divorce papers explain everything, I said finally, standing to end the conversation. I've been more than fair with assets. You'll keep the house until it sells, then we split the proceeds. Your half of our savings remains untouched. The only thing I've taken is my freedom, which apparently you value so highly. Security escorted her from the building. I returned to my meeting, apologizing for the interruption. My colleagues' curious glances were met with professional discretion. They didn't need to know my personal business. That evening, the calls from her family began. Her mother, surprisingly, was understanding. She told me about the affair, she admitted quietly. I raised her better than this. Her sister was less gracious, accusing me of cruelty and overreaction. I listened patiently, then explained my position once. I'm not discussing this further. It's between your sister and my attorney now. The next week brought predictable developments. She hired her own lawyer, who contacted mine with demands that bordered on delusional. Full ownership of the house, alimony, even access to my retirement accounts. My attorney dismissed them with professional efficiency, countering with evidence of financial misconduct and adultery. During this time, I maintained complete radio silence with her. Every communication went through proper legal channels. This wasn't pettiness, it was self-preservation. Each attempt at direct contact was documented and added to our case file. 3 weeks after her return, we faced each other across a mediation table. The evidence against her was substantial enough that her attorney had advised settlement rather than court. To my surprise, she agreed to mediation terms quickly. Perhaps reality had finally set in. As we signed preliminary agreements, she looked at me directly for the first time since that day in my office. Was any of it worth it to you, all those years? I considered the question carefully. They were, until they weren't. You made your choice. I made mine. She touched her tattoo reflexively. I never meant for this to happen. I believe you, but intentions don't erase consequences. After the meeting, as I walked to my car, she called after me. I'm selling the house. Too many memories. I nodded acknowledgement. That's your decision now. Your freedom cost me everything, she said, a final attempt at making me shoulder blame. I turned to face her one last time. No. Your freedom cost you everything. Mine was simply the price I was willing to pay to respect myself. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. I received notification while having dinner with friends at a new restaurant downtown. As I signed the electronic acknowledgement on my phone, one friend raised a glass to new beginnings. I smiled and raised my glass in return. Across the restaurant, I caught sight of a woman with dark hair and intelligent eyes watching our celebration with curious interest. She smiled when our eyes met. I smiled back, then returned to the conversation at my table. There would be time for new connections later. For now, I was enjoying the most valuable thing I had gained from this ordeal: the freedom to choose my own path forward without deception or betrayal. The free soul tattoo had indeed delivered freedom, just not in the way my ex-wife had intended. Sometimes the most profound lessons come at the greatest cost. The question is whether you're willing to pay the price to learn them.